Just 1 month ago, we saw the clash of two heavyweights, Tasty versus Bon Appetit in the chocolate chip cookie throwdown. Tasty came out swinging, they put up a strong fight, but Bon Appetit ultimately came out the winner of round 1. Today, right now, is round 2. But what is going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. As I said, this is round 2 of the Tasty vs. BA series, and today it is all about the donuts. It's gonna be Tasty's classic glazed donut going up against Bon Appetit, more specifically Chris Morocco's Greek yogurt donuts. They definitely have their differences, but at their core, they are similar enough to compare in this regard, I think. So let's get right into it. As with all of these versus episodes, Tasty is gonna get their stab first. I grabbed some sugar and butter, milk and oil, some powdered milk, flour, powdered sugar, vanilla extract, yeast, eggs, and water. So for anybody who's familiar with donut making, you would probably know that there's multiple different types of donuts. This one specifically is a more classic yeasted donut. It relies on that yeast to eat up that sugar and create all that gas and that airiness. Whereas in the second version, Chris Morocco's, he just uses some baking powder and some eggs as his leaveners. This one obviously takes a bit more time. It's a bit more involved, both ingredients-wise and time-wise. It actually gets 2 different rises, with the first one being just an hour, and the second one being completely overnight. So you're gonna be in this one for the long haul if you wanna try it. The hope is that at the end of all of this, it will well be worth it if it's as good as some of the donuts I've had in the past. And as always, if you want the specific measurements of all your ingredients, just hop on over to Tasty's video. It's linked down in the description. So once all my ingredients were combined to a nice uniform cohesive dough that was springy and bouncy, I oiled up a bowl and then gave it its first rise. It's only for an hour, after which you want to punch it back down, knead it for a couple more minutes, and then leave it in the fridge overnight. Now, I am aware that the cold temperatures of a fridge usually do slow down the riseability of yeasted doughs, but this one didn't seem to rise all that much. I'm thinking maybe my yeast is a little bit old, maybe the milk was too hot at the beginning. Either way, I am gonna run with this just to see how these come out in the end. So once I had that dough slab rolled out nice and thin, I used my 3.5 inch ring mold from the McGriddle video to cut out some circles. This whole frying procedure may look nice and peaceful and relaxing. It was anything other than that. I don't know if I'm cursed or something. I broke a glass, the fire alarms went off. I actually will leave some clips at the very end if you want to see the chaos, but the donuts look great. They look like they have a nice uniform golden brown color across the top. They only need around 80 or 90 seconds on each side, or else you risk overcooking them a little bit, so just keep a close eye. And the last thing we have to do for these is throw together the glaze, which is just some milk powder, powdered sugar, vanilla extract, and water. I highly recommend that you throw this through a fine mesh strainer, because even if you don't see clumps of powdered sugar, they're hiding in there and they will show up on your donut at the end. Once I believed my donuts to be cooled down enough to where the glaze wouldn't melt right off and drip down the sides, I gave all of them a nice thick coating. A chopstick works pretty well here, just because anything bigger you'd be scraping off the glaze as you turned them. But these look pretty good, so let's give them a try. Now, I said this in the cookie versus. As much as I love Bon Appetit, all the chefs there, I gotta be Team Tasty, you know? That's what I came up on, that's the reason you're all watching me, so you know who I'm rooting for. I do wish the glaze stayed on there a little bit thicker. If I let them cool for a little while longer, that probably would have happened. Still not too bad though, especially compared to what I think Chris's is gonna turn out to be. So the first thing that hits me with this is the glaze. Whenever I try to make any type of glaze like this with just powdered sugar, I feel like that's all you taste. It's like very grainy. This is no exception, unfortunately. Now the inside is like very bready. The crumb looks pretty good. nice and even. It's got an uncanny resemblance to like a hot dog roll. This could be one of those foods that I don't eat that often, so then when I try to make an episode like this, I'm like hypercritical because I never analyzed a donut before. I don't love it. I'll give it like a 6.2. Up next is the Challenger, or are they like the champion now and Tasty's the challenger? Either way, for Chris Morocco's yogurt donuts, grab yourself some flour and kosher salt, butter and sugar, Greek yogurt, vanilla extract, eggs, baking powder, powdered sugar, and water. Now, I was very surprised to see that this was a lot easier than Tasty's version. Obviously, they're two different donuts, so it's hard to compare time-wise, but you literally just combine your dry ingredients, your wet ingredients, and then slowly add in the dry. I believe the key to these is to not over-mix them. Unlike the last donuts where you had to knead them, these ones you don't want to. You don't want them to be tough. Just mix until you see that last bit of dried flour become incorporated so everything is nice and hydrated. This doesn't need to rest at all or go in the fridge, even though it may seem very wet at first. Just liberally add flour as you need it, and then you're just gonna roll it out to about a ½ inch thick. As Chris says in the video, don't be afraid of just pouring on the flour to prevent sticking, because we're gonna brush it off right at the end before it goes in the oil. I have to use that same little plastic cap as the last time because I don't have a circle mold that small, but it worked out fine for Tasty's, and it worked out fine for this too. Into my oil, all of these went. I love the different textures and like craggy bits on the top that's just gonna suck up our glaze that we dip these in once they cool down. And while they were cooling down, that's exactly what I constructed, an even more simplified version of Tasty's. This was just powdered sugar and water, there was nothing else. I dipped these as well, and it was very thin. You could barely even tell that they were glazed, but these smell just as good as the last ones, so let's give these a try. So these kind of just look like unglazed, unfrosted donuts, because that glaze is so darn thin. The kind of craggy, uneven edges remind me of those like vanilla donut sticks at Dunkin' Donuts that I always got in high school. So they taste like that, I'll be happy. Alright, so these are kind of what I was expecting. Which, does Dunkin' Donuts use a sour cream or a yogurt donut base? Because from what I remember, this is very similar. It's got that nice crunchy outer shell. The inside is soft. Great flavor. I would say the worst part of these is how much oil they sucked up. Yeah, if these weren't so oil heavy, they'd be like some of the best donuts I've had. Damn it, Tasty. I feel bad doing it. And this might seem like I'm doing it on purpose. I'm not. There's no reason for me to be biased. These are just better. These are getting like an 8.6. If they weren't so oily, they'd go even higher, but I think that's fair. I hope you guys enjoyed today's Versus Round 2. If you did, slap a like on this one. Go through both of their channels and find another potential recipe that would be good for the series. Let me know what you want to see on my Twitter and Instagram. Other than that, have a fantastic weekend. I will see you right back here Monday for the next episode of DVR. Peace!
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision.
Yeah. I'm not sure actually. Yeah. Oh. Can I call you back? I'm trying to do too many things at one time.